Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The global automotive industry, once a symbol of international cooperation, is now shaken by aggressive tariffs from Washington. The Trump administration's sweeping tariffs have upended decades of industrial strategy, threatening jobs and raising prices for families. By taxing imported vehicles, the White House has disrupted a finely tuned global machine. Japanese giants like Toyota and Nissan face huge losses, while Ford and GM are caught in the crossfire. The impact is felt from factory floors in Ohio to ports in Yokohama as investments are canceled and production lines shift. The question, will this strategy revive American manufacturing or backfire and weaken the industry it aims to protect? The stakes are high, and the future of car making hangs in the balance. To truly grasp the scale of today's crisis in the auto industry, we first need to understand the deep, decades-old ties that bind American, Canadian, and Japanese automakers. This alliance didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of collaboration, negotiation, and mutual investment that have shaped the very foundation of North American manufacturing. Since the early 1980s, Japanese companies like Honda and Toyota made a bold move. They began building factories right here in the United States. These weren't just assembly plants, they became major American employers, hiring tens of thousands of local workers and investing billions into communities across the Midwest and South. Today, a Toyota Camry, built in Kentucky, is as American as any car on the road, with the majority of its parts sourced from U.S. suppliers and assembled by American hands. These vehicles are woven into the fabric of local economies, supporting not just factory jobs, but also suppliers, dealerships, and service centers. Over time, this integration created a seamless North American production zone. Cars and parts now cross borders between the US, Canada, and Japan with remarkable efficiency, thanks to free trade agreements like NAFTA and its successor, the USMCA. This cross-border flow is the lifeblood of the modern auto industry. The system has benefited everyone involved. Japanese brands gained access to the vast North American market, while the US and Canada saw a surge in jobs, investment, and technological innovation. Local economies flourished as new plants opened and supply chains expanded. But now Trump's tariffs threaten to unravel this carefully built model. The administration's policies treat all non-US cars as foreign threats, regardless of where they're actually built or how many Americans they employ. The result is a complex, highly efficient supply chain suddenly at risk. Factories, suppliers, and workers across North America now face unprecedented uncertainty as the entire auto ecosystem is strained by new tariffs and shifting trade rules. The administration's approach ignores the reality of modern manufacturing, a reality built on decades of cooperation and shared prosperity. Now, that legacy is under threat as political decisions light a fuse under one of the world's most successful industrial alliances. In 2025, simmering trade tensions erupted into a global crisis as the world watched the United States launch a sweeping new offensive on international commerce. What began as a series of skirmishes quickly escalated into a full-scale economic war, with the auto industry at its epicenter. The U.S. government imposed a sweeping 25% tariff on all imported vehicles, sending shockwaves through global supply chains and rattling automakers from Detroit to Tokyo. Then, in a bold move targeting Japan, a 27.5% tariff was slapped specifically on Japanese cars, putting immense pressure on Tokyo to come to the negotiating table for a new trade deal. After weeks of tense, high-stakes negotiations, the two countries reached a new agreement. The tariff on Japanese cars was lowered to 15%, still 6 times higher than the previous rate, but a partial relief for Japanese automakers and their American partners. Yet this new deal created a strange and unexpected imbalance. Cars imported from Japan now faced a lower tariff than vehicles built in Canada or Mexico, even if those cars were made by American companies just across the border. Suddenly, it became cheaper for American consumers to buy a car shipped all the way from Japan than one assembled in a Canadian factory just a few hours away. Automakers, caught off guard, scrambled to recalculate every factory's future. Decades of careful planning and cross-border investment were thrown into chaos as predictability vanished overnight. The new rules fractured long-standing alliances and upended global strategies. Companies were forced into a costly realignment, rethinking where and how they built cars and who their partners would be. The administration claimed victory, touting the new tariffs as a win for American industry. But for automakers, it marked the beginning of a painful and uncertain new era, filled with risk and upheaval. As the machinery of global auto manufacturing began to crack under the strain, the world realized that the rules of the game had changed, and no one knew what would come next. The newly imposed tariffs have hit Japanese automakers with unexpected force, shaking the foundations of an industry that once seemed unassailable. For decades, Japanese brands dominated global markets with their reputation for reliability and innovation, but now, they find themselves facing a perfect storm of challenges. These tariffs come at a time when Japanese companies are already struggling to keep pace with the rapid rise of Chinese electric vehicle competitors, who are aggressively expanding their presence and offering advanced technology at lower prices. Nissan, once a symbol of Japanese automotive strength, reported a staggering $4.5 billion loss, with profits plunging by an astonishing 88% in just 1 year. The company was forced to make painful decisions, cutting 20,000 jobs worldwide and shuttering several production lines, sending shockwaves through its workforce and suppliers. Even industry giant Toyota, long considered a pillar of stability, forecast a 21% drop in profits, signaling that no one is immune to the mounting pressures. Meanwhile, Honda slashed its outlook by a staggering 59%, reflecting the deep uncertainty gripping the sector. Smaller brands like Mitsubishi have also suffered heavy blows, slashing profit forecasts and fighting desperately to stay afloat in the fiercely competitive US market, where consumer preferences are shifting rapidly. These mounting losses threaten not only the financial health of Japan's auto giants, but also their ability to invest in future technologies and maintain their edge in innovation. With US profits under siege and Chinese brands surging into the market, the competitive landscape has shifted dramatically almost overnight. Japanese companies are now being forced to rethink their strategies from the ground up, slashing costs, streamlining operations, and searching for new ways to survive. The era of relentless global expansion has come to an abrupt halt. Instead, contraction and consolidation have become the new reality for these once mighty firms. Partnerships, mergers, and tough decisions are now on the table as companies scramble to adapt to a rapidly changing world. The tariffs have kneecapped Japanese automakers just as they need every available resource to compete in the global EV race. The damage is deep, the challenges are immense, and the future remains more uncertain than ever before. Canada, once a key player in North American auto, is now an unexpected casualty of the US-Japan deal. The new structure imposes a 25% tariff on Canadian-made cars, 10% higher than on Japanese imports. A Honda Civic built in Ontario now faces a steeper tax than one shipped from Japan. Investment is fleeing. Honda postponed a planned EV factory, and other automakers are reconsidering Canadian operations. Even US automakers with Canadian plants are hit, as their vehicles face the same high tariffs. Canada's auto sector, a pillar of its economy, is suddenly on the wrong side of US trade policy. Once a trusted partner, Canada has become collateral damage in a trade war it never started. The new tariffs have triggered a frantic reshuffling of global auto production. Automakers are racing to avoid tariffs by moving production inside US borders. Honda is shifting Civic production from Mexico to Indiana. Mazda is ramping up its Alabama plant while cutting output in Mexico. Projects in Canada and Japan are being cancelled or delayed as companies chase tariff-free status. Smaller brands are seeking alliances to survive, with Mitsubishi considering joint production with Nissan in North America. But moving factories isn't quick or cheap. It means retooling, retraining, and supply chain upheaval. The transition is costly and disruptive, with no guarantee of success. The industry is in flux, and the final shape of North American auto manufacturing is far from clear. The scramble to adapt is rewriting the map of car production. The real cost of this trade war lands on American consumers. Automakers can't absorb billions in new tariffs, so prices are rising fast. Mitsubishi hiked prices by over $2,400, Subaru by $824. Entry-level cars are hit hardest. The Mazda 3 sedan is now nearly 20% more expensive than in 2022, and Subaru has dropped its base Outback model. As new cars become less affordable, more buyers turn to the used market, driving up those prices too. The result: fewer options and higher costs for everyone, especially families seeking reliable transportation. The dream of a new car is slipping out of reach for many Americans. tariffs meant to help the economy are making life more expensive for ordinary people. The tariffs, meant to help U.S. automakers, are backfiring. The new trade deal charges a lower tariff on cars from Japan than on those built in Canada or Mexico, even by American companies. Detroit's business model is under threat, with General Motors reporting $1.1 billion in tariff costs in just one quarter. Stellantis faced $350 million in similar costs. U.S. automakers must either absorb these losses or pass them to consumers, making their cars less competitive. The policy punishes companies for using efficient North American supply chains. It creates perverse incentives: either move all production to the U.S. at huge cost, or lose out to Japanese imports. The American Automotive Policy Council calls it a Japan-first policy, not America first. The strategy has wounded the very industry it aimed to protect. The Trump administration's tariffs have plunged the global auto industry into uncertainty. More job cuts, canceled investments, and rising prices are on the horizon. The era of affordable new cars may be ending, replaced by higher prices and fewer choices. Smaller automakers may exit the U.S. market, reducing competition. The big question: can this nationalistic trade approach achieve its goals, or is it just causing collateral damage? So far, it's weakened allies, hurt American companies, and burdened consumers, without solving deeper challenges like the EV transition. The old system is broken, but a new blueprint is missing. The true cost of this trade war will be felt for years, in factories, boardrooms, and family budgets. The road ahead is uncertain, and stability is in short supply.